Long drives with the windows down, got me feeling so free with you.
Hey everyone, so today we have an unboxing from SpeedCubeShop.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at two new budget cubes. Now these have been pretty much the talk of the community ever since these were first released, so I'm really excited to check these out. I've heard a lot of great things about them, but I just want to see what I personally think of them myself. So before I get into these, I just wanted to let you guys know that when you do order from SpeedCubeShop, feel free to use my discount code TCK on all your orders. But yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into these puzzles. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the Monster Go 3x3. So the Monster Go is a subsidiary brand of GAN, and I think it's their more educational line aimed at beginning SpeedCube, and just sort of getting you into learning how to solve the Rubik's Cube. So here we've got, yeah, a 3x3 tutorial, which is always really nice. And yeah, this one actually looks pretty helpful, contrary to a lot of other instructional pamphlets that other companies include. Alright, but what we are really here for is the cube, so let's just go ahead and check this out. So this one is, I think, around $20. It's a magnetic 3x3, part of the GAN subsidiary line, so let's just go ahead and see how this actually turns. Okay, this one's interesting. You know, just right off the bat, before I get into the actual feeling of this thing, the outer part of the cube is frosted, and some of you may know that I am personally not a huge fan, just because, you know, you've got that sort of frosted, slick feeling. It's just sort of hard to grip the actual surface of the cube. I've heard stories of some people, you know, just sort of breaking it in and the frosted surface itself gets kind of worn down. I'm not really sure if that's the case with this cube. I'm gonna have to test it out for myself. But yeah, just something to be aware of in case, you know, you might have the same problem that I do of just gripping the slick surface. But in terms of the actual turning of this thing, it's very unique. You know, GAN is really known for having super lightweight 3x3s, and this one is a little bit more hefty. And you know, I'm not really sure if that has to do with the magnets, but it just sort of has a sort of heavy feeling to it. Yeah, just when you turn it, it just sort of, it's really fast, and because of the extra added weight, it just sort of really moves along. It just sort of, yeah, carries this sort of heavy weight with each turn. And that sort of heavy turning, I think, could also really work well with a beginner or just sort of anyone with a rough turning style. Let me just sort of just kind of go ham on this, see how it handles it. So with rough turning, this cube actually handled it pretty well. I mean, with any cube or speed cube in general, you're gonna have problems with catching and lockups if you're going as aggressive as I was at first. So yeah, in that sense, this cube actually handled it pretty well. Corner cutting, 485, it's cutting through, but there is just a little bit of resistance, but that could just be the tensioning. Yeah, you can see it's pretty tight, so nothing loosening can't fix. And reverse, half a piece, also with a little bit of resistance, and there's just some slight catching. So the magnets themselves, they definitely do a really great job at sort of stabilizing the cube, especially since this cube is so fast. It's great to have the magnets in there, but they feel pretty light. If you're just turning it like this, you definitely can't feel them click into place. If you're turning it slowly, you can sort of feel that attraction between the magnets. But yeah, I would say it's on the light to medium strength. So first impressions of this thing out of the box, it's actually pretty incredible. Despite the super tight tensions, it's really not giving me any catching or locking issues, and the feeling of it is something that I actually really like about it, because I feel like the recent trends have been very lightweight and airy, fast 3x3s, but this one sort of counteracts that. It has a more hefty and substantial feeling to it, in a good way. You know, it doesn't feel like a rock or super heavy and uncomfortable to use. Sometimes you just need that substantial feeling to it so that you're not feeling like you're turning air. Even though this cube is so fast, because it has a more hefty and stable feeling to it, you feel like you're in more control of the puzzle. So you can see it definitely goes super fast, but I still feel like I can control this puzzle really well. And this thing can definitely compete with the more expensive, like $50, $70 GAN cube. So for a $20 magnetic 3x3, you're gonna want to check it out. And not to mention, that logo is awesome. So I'm gonna set it up, do some averages with it, and we'll see if my impressions change later on. Alright, and so for the MoYu RS3M 2020, this thing I've heard is pretty incredible too, and this one is only, I think, $9. It's magnetic and it has a dual adjustment system, so this one's going to be interesting to check out. It's super cheap, but it has a lot of features of the more expensive 3x3s. Alright, so you've got the cube, a super cool MoYu stand, alright, and finally out is an accessories box. So in here, typical MoYu cards, an instruction pamphlet, screwdriver, and also some spare dual adjustment parts. Alright, and so here is the cube. This one also unfortunately has the frosted surface, but luckily this one I think I've heard it sort of wears off, so hopefully that is the case when I break it in. And let's just go ahead and get into the cube. Alright, well for $9 this thing is actually pretty incredible. I mean, it's magnetic and it has the dual adjustment system, which are already really big bonuses, and the performance seems pretty great out of the box. The only thing I will say though is that it has this hollow feeling to it. You know the feeling that you get when your pieces aren't put together all the way and there are still like a few gaps in between the pieces? That's the sort of feeling that I'm getting and hearing right now. It doesn't seem like the pieces aren't built well. I mean, I'm not really seeing any gaps or anything like that. It's just that the pieces themselves have a lot of room to move around and flex, especially on these M slices. That's when you can really hear the sort of tinginess and the hollowness of the pieces. And I really think that's just because the layers themselves, the core has a lot of room for the pieces to flex and move around. So that's what's sort of creating that hollow, tingy sound that you're hearing. Corner cutting, yeah, even though it is so incredibly tight, it's still doing 45 relatively okay. Reverse, super easy, half a piece. Yeah, and I'm really not getting any catches right now. I am feeling the slightest bit of locking on some turns just because the tensions aren't that even or to my liking yet. But yeah, no, nothing that can't be fixed with a proper setup later on. So the magnets are super light. Even though I'm purposely feeling for them right now, I can't really feel that distinct bump of the magnets. So I know a lot of people are adding extra magnets in the pieces to strengthen the attraction even more. But even though the magnets do feel so subtle, they're definitely doing a great job at stabilizing and helping you control the puzzle. Despite this puzzle being so incredibly fast, it's not out of control. I can still turn it just fine. So if you are one that doesn't really like that bump of the magnets, the RS3M 2020 is going to be perfect for you. So the feeling of this cube, aside from the hollowness that I described earlier, it definitely feels a little bit papery and crispy. It's papery smooth in that it has a sort of softness to the layers, and yeah, it's definitely smooth as the pieces are gliding over each other, but when you're turning it faster and when the corners are sort of sliding over each other, it definitely does create a sort of crispy, crunchy feeling to it. Yeah, it sort of feels like an updated, modernized Zanchi. It has a smoother feeling than the Zanchi, but it has that same idea of being crispy and crunchy. So yeah, I mean, overall, the cube is definitely really great for its price, and you really can't go wrong, especially given all the extra features that it has with the magnets and also the dual adjustment system, which gives you a lot of leeway in customizing the feeling of your cube. And especially with the dual adjustment system, the problem that I described earlier of this cube deforming and having that hollow feeling, that's definitely going to be minimized with proper setup. So that's really not going to be anything to worry about. Alright, wow, definitely some really great budget cubes, and I can definitely understand the hype surrounding these new releases. Both of them lived up to my expectations and everything that I've heard about them so far, and yeah, both of these are absolutely incredible out of the box. Personally, I like the Monster Go just a little bit more, just because it has a more buttery smoothness that I personally like in it. Yeah, it feels a little bit more substantial compared to the crispy feeling of the RS3M 2020. But yeah, again, both of these cubes are both equally incredible and super impressive out of the box, so you really can't go wrong. I mean, Monster Go is 20 bucks, and if you don't have the budget for that, the RS3M 2020 is an amazing choice, and you definitely cannot go wrong with either of these. So yeah, if you are interested in picking any of these up, go ahead and check out SpeedCubeShop.com, and again, feel free to use my code TCK for discounts on all your orders. But yeah, so that's going to be it for this unboxing. Hope you guys did enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.